Moinuddin Qureshi is called the parachute prime minister in the history of Pakistan, but this parachute prime minister did a very big job with the permission of President Wasim Sajjad, and that was to publish the secret list of money borrowed and loan waivers. In this list, from March 1985 until then, the names of all such people were recorded who were somehow participating in looting the wealth of the nation. This list of those who got the loans waived off was explosive, and Asif Ali Zardari was among them. His father, Hakim Zardari, and General Ayub's son, the Gohar Ayub family, Shahbaz Sharif, his brother Abbas Sharif, Zafarullah Jamali Chowdhury, Shujat Hussain, Chowdhury Parvez Ilahi, and Rabbani Kar were involved. The fraud of those who took the loan and grabbed it was of such magnitude that the newspapers called it a crime. It has been declared the biggest embezzlement of the century. According to newspapers, a loan of 60 billion rupees was not returned, whereas a loan of 1.5 billion rupees was also waived off. Now, after publishing the list, it should have happened that the loan was returned to them, or they were punished by disqualification, or else their properties were confiscated and money was taken. All these things were announced. In fact, the Prime Minister had also said that people breaking the rules would not be allowed to contest the elections this time, but later. All these loan sharks were allowed to contest elections on mere promises of repaying the loans. In order to expose the culture of bribery, the Prime Minister also published a list containing the details of those who had distributed plots. According to this list, Benazir Bhutto, in 20 months of her rule, divided 561 plus plots among close people, while, according to the same list, Nawaz Sharif divided 23 plots in his 2.5-year tenure. During this period, big actions were taken on a large scale against the tax thieves. Not only political personalities had to face it, but important stars of the film world also got caught in its trap. The bank accounts of film heroes Babra Sharif, Salma Agha, and Afzal Ahmed were blocked. Notices were issued to seize their properties. Punjab's famous singer, Ataullah Isa Kelvi, he paid his share of tax promptly to avoid government action. Moinuddin Qureshi. To increase the tax net, he also implemented a small tax for the first time in the country. Apart from this, he also ended the expensive schemes of Nawaz Sharif's era. The government did not even look at the highway with a good eye. Instead, it changed its design to save some money. The government was doing all this because this rule of technocrats was established for this purpose. The real work of the government was to announce the elections, and in this connection, two concerns were raising their heads. Firstly, the government was presenting long-term plans, due to which suspicion was taking root in the political world that maybe the elections were being postponed. There is a conspiracy going on, due to which all the stakeholders used to assure each other about getting the work done on time. Secondly, there were increasing incidents of terrorism in the country. Shia-Sunni riots had reached their peak during many times of terrorism. Many people had lost their lives. On August 4th, 2 bomb blasts in Lahore shivered the city. On September 2nd, in Lahore Choburza, 2 gunmen opened fire and martyred the Namazis. General Zal-Haq's nephew was also among those who lost their lives. Not only this, incidents of terrorism were taking place in the entire country, including Karachi, but the extent to which it created a wave of fear in the political world was something else. A tragedy happened when the president of the Muslim League of Punjab and former Wazir Punjab, Ghulam Haider Wayne, was passing through Chanu to address a procession where his car was forcibly stopped, and he was killed by firing. Some people accused Benazir Bhutto and the People's Party of the murder. But this allegation turned out to be baseless, because it was not a caste rivalry but a misunderstanding. The culprits were caught and they were sentenced to death in the central jail, Multan. Despite all the allegations of terrorism, President and the Prime Minister were repeatedly saying that the elections would be held on time, and so on. They will be sure that no one will be able to point a finger at them, as the elections will be so pure. Nawaz Sharif and Benazir Bhutto were the central characters of the coming elections, but both of them had to face some problems in the elections. The first big problem with Nawaz Sharif was that his power was divided. It is like the vote bank on which Nawaz Sharif became prime minister, based on 3 foundations. One was the alliance of IGI, The second was the religious vote bank, and the third was the Muslim League's own vote bank. Now, what happened was that IGI ended because, according to a few people, Nawaz Sharif had failed to implement the Islamic system in the country. Support for the religious circles was also reduced because Qazi Hussein Ahmed had formed a new alliance with the religious community in the name of the Islamic Front. This alliance once again was asking for donations to establish an Islamic government. Left behind was the Muslim League, but it was also divided into two parts: the Muslim League Junayo alias Chata group and the Muslim League Nawaz group, but these were not the only three issues. But an interesting issue was that of bicycle riding. The issue was that both Nawaz Sharif and the Chata group wanted to get the symbol of the Muslim League, a cycle. When no decision was taken, a lottery was announced, and then, in a strange way, Nawaz Sharif's lion came out. This is for Muslim League Noon, a big blow, which is for the first time. Taking part in the elections alone in the capacity of a party, in a country where most of the voters are less educated and the media is not as common as it is nowadays, it was a very difficult task to vote on a new election symbol. However, with a heavy heart, they accepted this symbol. You will be surprised, but it is a historical incident that Nawaz Sharif himself had gone to court to get the lion symbol, which is today. The identity of the Noon League changed. But even there, the matter could not be resolved. The lion symbol was not Nawaz Sharif's own choice, but it was forcefully imposed on him. Benazir Bhutto, the second most important personality in the election of 1993, was also lucky in one respect, and was in some trouble in another respect in such a way that a large section of the Muslim League in Punjab, the Chata group, had joined hands with the party, due to which the PP's position had become much better in Punjab. But it was in trouble in the sense that in Sindh, its mother and brother, Murtaza Bhutto, were standing against her and not with her. Both were contesting against the Pakistan People's Party. Murtaza Bhutto's political group was preparing to fight in the elections. The election commission had approved it and had also given them a symbol of a punch. Benazir's mother, Nusrat Bhutto, was completely with her son Murtaza Bhutto and was opposing her daughter in the elections. On the one hand, communal massacres were on the go, and on the other hand, the political group was openly using religion. Nawaz Sharif was distributing zakat in the mosque and had it printed in the newspapers. The election was on, the competition was fierce, and the challenges were very big. Maybe this is the reason that both the former prime ministers were making such big promises to the people, which were very difficult to fulfill. Benazir Bhutto said that she will run a bullet train from Lahore to Islamabad and get subways built in Karachi, while Nawaz Sharif was promising a yellow motorcycle, a yellow house, and yellow tractors for the people of Pakistan. Qazi Hussein Ahmed, who had the car symbol for the Islamic Front, was saying that our era will be one of prosperity in which everyone will travel in cars. These candidates were making big claims. They were doing so, but were not telling where the money would come from in the national treasury for these works because the conditions in Pakistan were not good. After going through the same conditions and terrorism, the National Assembly elections were held on October 6th under military surveillance at Bhutto's request. There was a close contest between the Noon League and the People's Party. MQM had boycotted the National Assembly's elections. Perhaps that is why the turnout in the first election was less than 90%. People's Party got 65 seats, and the Noon League got 56 seats. Although the reality was that Nawaz Sharif got 4 lakh more votes in popularity, the People's Party got a minor dominance. But they joined forces with Chata Group and independent members, due to which they got the support of 121 members. Benazir Bhutto became prime minister, and Sharif sat in the opposition chair. As soon as Benazir Bhutto became prime minister, Moinuddin Qureshi took up the suitcase, gathered memories of Pakistan, and packed his things to return. But during his rule, when Moinuddin Qureshi became the prime minister, the exchange reserves were 18 crores. But when he went back after 3 months, they reached up to 49 crores. That is, almost 2.5 times more. While leaving, he held his last press conference in Islamabad and said that if his foreign policies were continued, the country would progress. The conference ended, and Moinuddin Qureshi went back to Washington after handling the suitcase. He was a non-political man, so he never returned to Pakistani politics. He died in Washington in 2016 and is buried there. In those days, elections for the National Assembly and the Provincial Assembly were not held on the same day. After the National Assembly, provincial elections were held on October 9th, in which the Muslim League was elected in Balochistan and Punjab. While the PPP won in Sindh and the KPK, the People's Party in Sindh, the Noon League coalition government in KPK, while in Balochistan, the government of Zulfikar Magsi was formed. Despite the fact that the Noon League could not form the government in Punjab, something like Manzoor Watu, who had only 16 seats, merged with the Azad group and negotiated with the People's Party that if he was made the chief minister of Punjab, he would support the PPP in the center and provinces. The Noon League was not acceptable to Benazir Bhutto in any way. Therefore, she accepted the offer and voted for Manzoor Watu with 16 seats for the post of Chief Minister of Punjab. After securing Punjab and the center, only one issue was left for the People's Party, and that was from the president, and that is why it was important that, till now, Zia-ul-Haq Constitutional Amendment 582B was present in the Constitution, with the help of which the president could send the prime minister home whenever he wanted. Ghulam Ishaq Khan had done this 3 times, and General Zia-ul-Haq had done so once also, that is, the existence of this amendment. After coming to power, all the governments became victims of this constitution and ended. Hence, Benazir Bhutto wanted a leader who was loyal to him from the heart. In such a situation, his deputy opposition leader and right-hand man, Farooq Laghari, was chosen here. Muslim League Noon nominated the acting president, Wasim Sajjad. Nominated, but the issue was that the Muslim League had more seats in the parliament and provincial assemblies. Hence, it seemed certain that Muslim League candidate Wasim Sajjad would easily win by 22 votes and would become president of Pakistan. But alas, Nawaz Sharif was very unlucky. Here also, he got defeated by Mohtarma Bhutto and her husband in the game of chess. Asif Ali Zardari showed the skill of manipulation and broke the Muslim League people from within. He also got independent candidates along with him and elected Farooq Laghari president of Pakistan with 274 votes. From outside, it was a strong government, but from inside, it was so weak. Benazir Bhutto had some bad relations with her mother, Nusrat Bhutto. Even Nusrat Bhutto had to say that even Zia-ul-Haq had not tortured me as much as my daughter had committed against me. What happened was that Bhutto's rally got attacked by Bhutto's workers. During Mohtarma Bhutto's era, she murdered her own brother, Murtaza Bhutto. We will show all this in the next episode.